Welcome, Impactful Parents. It's time for the Impactful Parenting Podcast, where I give you parenting tips and resources to make you a more impactful parent to your school-age child. I am your host, Christina Campos. Welcome, Impactful Parents. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 things you never realized were key to your child's success. Hello, my name is Christina Campos. I'm founder of The Impactful Parent, and I help parents of school-age children who want to be one step ahead of their kids to turn their chaos into connection with their adolescent. I'm a mom of 4, a teacher that's taught every grade from preschool through high school, and today I help moms and dads like yourself to navigate that exhausting, confusing, frustrating, but rewarding world of parenting. So welcome to The Impactful Parent. And today I have a special guest. His name is Mark Sinclair. And Mark is a coach, he's a counselor, and he's a father. He has a master's in counseling, a license in clinical counseling, and 2 amazing girls on top of all that. And then over the last 15 years, Mark has been supporting students and parents to build confidence and develop essential life skills and then achieve their goals. So I'm really excited to have him on the show today to talk about the 4 things that you never realized were key to your child's success. So let's get started. Thanks, Mark, for being here. Okay, let's get started right away. I want to jump into this topic because this is a really great one for all age levels, right? Like It doesn't matter what age our kid is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this can the 4 things that we're going to be talking about here, I think, apply to all age levels. While my work is, pretty exclusive with preteens and teenagers in those years, this can apply to parenting across the spectrum, all ages.
All right, then let's start off with number 1. What's our number 1 way that we didn't even know as parents that's really going to help our children succeed?
Sure. I start off with what I would call a foundation, because I'm going to say it and it's going to sound like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But we so often forget about it as a parent. It's that the success of our child is going to be really a foundational point in our well-being. The parental well-being is a super important part to their success.
And I say, like, as parents, we need to be good. We need to be healthy. We need to take care of ourselves. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have to take care of ourselves because our children are going to absorb our energy, and they're going to mimic whatever we see. And taking care of ourselves is something that is usually the first to go. When I talk with families and I talk with students, it's one of those things where you almost find it to be a selfish thing, myself included, to take care of yourself. Like, we're going to default and take care of our kids because that's a noble thing to do. That's the right thing to do. And I'm never saying that that's the wrong thing. But there is a moment where we need to kind of put our masks on first. There's a reason that they do it at the airport, right? They tell you to put your mask on first before you do and help anyone else, because you pass out, you're not helping anyone. I always use that model and that imagery because those who have flown know, and they've heard it so many times. It is important. It's one of those things where you have to make sure you're okay and you're good in order for your child to have success that you want them to have.
I find that mothers, including myself, it's just part of motherly culture, which I'm not saying I like, because actually I hate this about motherly culture, but we're conditioned to think that we're supposed to self-sacrifice so much for our children. And it's kind of looked upon badly if you don't. So it's weird with this, with moms in this dynamic where taking care of ourselves just feels so unnatural sometimes, and it does feel so selfish, and to get over that hump can sometimes be really tough for certain people. And I just want to acknowledge that, because I know it's so hard. I have been there where taking care of myself was not the priority, and I've really come around and learned how to do that. And it's so important. Just like you said, it is so important, because our kids are watching us to learn, like, however we accept anger when something irritates us, and we're like, however we react, they are watching us. They're learning how they should react to those situations. That's why it's so important that parents always stay calm when things are in an emergency situation, because the first thing kids do will look to them like, what are we supposed to do? Whoever the adult is in the room, what are we supposed to do? because that's how we've trained them to do things, to keep themselves safe. That's their natural reaction. So, oh, I love this first one because I feel like you're right. A lot of parents, we don't think about this.
No, it's that guilt that hits us when we do, but it is an important part of parenting, and allowing the child to, like you said, see and model. We're not perfect; we're going to mess up, and a key is to also give ourselves that little bit of a break when we do reset and move forward, understanding that we'll get better as we go along because it's all a process.
Yeah. So, what can you explain for like what parents can do to improve this?
So the first thing I would say that you can do, again, focusing on the it's not guilty. It shouldn't feel guilty in scheduling a time for yourself, but across the calendar, whether it be a shared iCal, whatever it might be, you have everything from child athletics to where you're going to go to everything, and it's going to be color coded, however it might be for you. What if somewhere in there in your calendar where there's a specific time where it's recharge time, whatever that might be? I, for myself, to use myself in this example, it might be something simple. At the end of tonight, after the long day, after my kids have all their things, for me, it's dance, for me, it's acting, it's all this stuff. At the end of the long day, if I'm just able to get 15 minutes of, a new show that I'm looking to watch, I'm looking at that as like, okay, a little bit of recharge time. I get to journal a little bit. I try to do that. I'm not great at it, but it's a little recharge time at the end. Some like to do it at the beginning. But there's a science to creating something. Something done for 30 days creates a habit, and once that becomes a habit, it's part of your routine. And I think that's an important part for recharge that we ignore. We teach our kids good habits, do it for ourselves. It's that modeling that they're going to see, that I think is important, because they're going to see it, they're going to notice what we do for ourselves, and they're going to apply that as we want them to find success. And that's going to start with that basic foundation of how you handle stress, how you handle challenges, how you go about day-to-day life.
Absolutely. I tell my own clients, like, I get it, like that your child might be like the number one priority, but you at least make yourself in the top 5 somewhere? Because
That's a good point. Yep.
let's get there.
Uh-huh.
And again, coming from like, I know, I really self-sacrifice quite a lot, and I have to stop and like, nope, I need to exercise. I gotta start taking care of, especially as I get older. This is even more important.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this conversation, but we need to get on to number 2.
Sure.
So number 2, what is it?
So it's a headline of parenting in the age of anxiety, and I put that in quotes. And I put that in quotes because I'm a counselor. I've done clinical, I've done school, all that. What I have seen is that the term anxiety sometimes is misplaced. Sometimes it is used abundantly, where it's not necessarily supposed to be there. I put it this way, because anxiety is a real thing. Anxiety is a clinical diagnosis at times, but we can all feel anxiety. It can come up in nerves. It can come up in a moment where something is exciting or you're nerve wracking. You're excited to get out to the stage or to the sporting event or for that meeting. There's that little bit of anxiety. That's a natural reaction that we all have. Our kids are growing up in an age where they are constantly on. They are connected at all times. That can, stem a different type of anxiety that I have seen, where when there's no social media, where they're disconnected, you go to school, you're on for whatever it is, 6 hours, you come home, you don't have to be. You can just shut down and you don't have to worry about what other people are doing. I have seen so many clients, so many students, my own kids, where they find that connection, which can be good. I'm not saying that, but at times it is a constant connection where they're wondering, and they can literally see in some of these apps, they can see the location of where everybody is. And they're going to say to themselves, I'm not there. Why am I not there? And it's this constant running battle that they have. Recognizing that for ourselves, I think it starts for parents recognizing the apps that, the kids are using, what it is that they can do with those apps, where it's a location thing, the point of them, what they see their child getting a benefit from or what they enjoy from it. I try as much as I can to sit down with my 15-year-old to go through the social media that she has. the other day we were talking about how, hey, we're going to take this one away because what are you using this for? Are you using it because you get some, joy out of some of the silly videos? Are you connecting with friends, whatever it might be? I think that's an important piece. There's so much stuff that the kids can, get anxiety from true anxiety, but I think it's important to differentiate the term anxiety from what it is. It is a piece of us that can be natural, but there is a clinical diagnosis of anxiety that can be hard to control for those that go beyond the scope of just normal stress. But I think that is one of the largest things that our kids growing up right now are dealing with when it comes to this age of anxiety and technology.
This is completely a different age, and I'm glad that you phrase it that way, because so much of parenting, we think that our kids are going to be like us, and we don't understand when they're not like us. Like we used
Mm.
to, like I'm a Gen Xer, so like we're kind of rowdy, we snuck out of our house, and we were drinking in the mountain and some things like that. Like this generation, it doesn't feel like they just don't do that anymore,
Mhm.
and they're isolating a little bit more, but at the same time they're expanding their network because they can
They
basically,
can, yes,
because they
yeah.
can. We couldn't do anything
Mhm.
like that. I mean, so it's just completely different, but it's so hard to look at your kid, and I think you want to relate to what they're experiencing.
Mhm.
And it's just hard, especially when you see them anxious about things, and especially with tech. And we don't know what that was like. We just don't, unless
Mhm.
you were much younger. Obviously, if you are a younger parent right now, but assuming that we're parents of school age children, because that's typically my audience, the tweens and the teen years. Yeah, we're more. I just think we're from a different generation.
It's true. They see connection. They see how they can talk to their friends, what they're going to do. I've seen friends who are out on the street talking, riding a bike, and they're saying like, "Okay, I'll see you in a little bit," and they're going home to jump online to play. And I've had conversations with parents about that, where it's like it's a different type of connection. Yes, there's screen times and all that. That's important, but there is that connection with friends that I see, all the days where, like you said, it's different. And some kids who I talk to, my clients, they're like, well, my parents don't just understand, which is okay. And there's that piece, I think, too. And my last point about this, I think with parents, it's okay to ask a question and ask them like, hey, what is this? I'm not sure what this is. If you open that communication, because if you shut down the kid, your kid's going to feel like, well, you don't understand anyway, and you might not. And that's not a great way to start a conversation where you're already at different levels. So
Now let's get to our number 3. The third thing that parents we never realized were key to our child's success.
Sure. So this one's a tough one because I think there are different stages of what this number 3 is, the art of letting go. And I think there are several milestones where it's a little bit more of letting go of the rope, whatever imagery you want to use, letting go, allowing the independence to kind of manifest within your child. I think there is a benefit to productive failure. I actually just did a whole concept and put things together in a little bit of kind of like a workbook thing where this idea is kind of central. The idea of productive failure, especially for kids at all ages, when they start to feel that independence. Now, this doesn't apply to newborns and early child development, but when they start to feel that desire for a little bit more independence, even when they figure first steps, they're gonna fall. They're gonna figure out what balance is, and if you literally held their arms, they're never going to learn to walk. It's part of growing up. There is going to be. We're going to protect them. We're going to be there and make sure they don't make anything that's going to hurt themselves. We hope so. We really hope so. That's the worst topic to talk about when it comes to parenting. But it's a desire and it's a balance of allowing that independence to happen at whatever stage they're at, and allow them to seek that independence and find productivity and resilience in failing and finding out what their process was, finding out the why, the problem solving. That's something that right now I think is tough to balance as a parent, because we care so much. Like you said, it's easy to put them number one because most of the time they are. And when they're number one, you just want to make sure that they are safe, they are not hurt, they don't get their heart broken. I didn't know how to say, like I said, I'm a counselor. I work with kids. I didn't know how to talk to my own daughter about being heartbroken for the first time the other day. It's a whole nother topic, but we don't want to see them hurt. But this is a hard one because there is an art in letting go and what that looks like as a safe space, as you said, but also independence.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It is so hard. Like it's like one of the only professions in the world where in the end you lose like your
Uh-huh.
thing that you work so hard for, and that's
Yep.
the goal.
Yep. It
It's
is.
it's crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who are new to this show, I have two older children too. So I have a middle schooler and a high school right now, like in the moment. And I also have two one in college and one's ready to launch out of college here. He's going to be graduating. And that process of the letting go over the years, man, we need counseling for that sometimes and coaching and like, yeah, like I just want to throw that out there because there is no shame in that. It is
Absolutely.
tough. It is
Yes.
tough stuff, but it is really, really important stuff that has to happen so that they can launch. And now let's look at our last one, number 4, the fourth thing that parents never realized were key to their child's success.
I have found this last point to be something that is not easy to come by, but is super important and probably is one of the best sources of motivation. And that's a sense of eagerness and a sense of curiosity. And I've seen this in my own kids. I've seen this in the clients I work with and with families. There is motivation tactics, paying your child to do a chore, whatever it is. I'm okay with that. Allowances, external motivation, all that. That's real. We all have that. We do our job. Some of us, we love it, but some of us, it's like, hey, I need a paycheck. That's a motivation in itself, so we can do things. But a simple eagerness and curiosity, those two things going hand in hand. I talk about a child who is eager to go to the park or who is eager to learn about dinosaurs. And if you say a dinosaur's name wrong, they're going to get super upset with you and be like, no, this is how you say Tyrannosaurus Rex. They had the sharp teeth. They don't eat. Like there's an eagerness and a desire to, correct you in that moment when it's those kids. But a sense of curiosity is real and it's true. It's in learning, it's in academics, it's in social life, and sometimes there is a curiosity in things to where we as parents think like, well, why don't you want to learn about this? Well, they might not want to learn about this, or they might not care too much about this. But encouraging that curiosity and sparking that eagerness to learn, eagerness to seek something out, I have found to be one of the sources of motivation. That is going to be internal, and that is going to drive action, and that's going to drive a desire to seek something out, seek problem solving, seek out an answer.
Well, I would also like to get to you, because how do you help? And if people are resonating with this episode today, how can you help them, and where can they reach you?
Sure. So I myself, I'm a counselor. I work with teenagers. I work with families. I can be found on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Thrive Coaching, where I work with teenagers. I work with adults and parents to find that balance of what it is as far as success. Success can be different for everyone. It could be someone who is just trying to keep up with academic work, someone who is looking to take that next step, a family who's just looking to kind of get on the same page and improve communication. So my main priority, my main source of kind of connecting is over Facebook. So that's be the best way to find me. I also have an email that I can be reached out to, but that would be the two main ways. I keep it pretty simple when it comes to kind of reaching out, just keeping those focus points of interaction.
Awesome. And lastly, I heard you have a freebie for
Absolutely.
our audience.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, this one, I hope there's some benefit to anyone who's looking to get a little bit of internal work done. It's a small part of a larger workbook that I have, and it really focuses on kind of looking within for yourself. It kind of goes back to the first point. It's really focused for parents to kind of do some work about the idea of time, what it is they do for themselves. If time wasn't an issue, if money wasn't an issue, what you would do for yourself, and really kind of going through different levels of that, and then talking through what your authentic self would be, talking about how curiousness is important, how that can be sparked within yourself. And if you have older kids, it's something to where maybe if you're both doing it, you and your teenager, I have actually did this with my daughter the other day, and kind of comparing. It's a good topic and communication point where you can kind of compare and say like, hey, this is what I talked about when we were doing this. So hopefully it's some you find some use to it. But that's the freebie that I wanted to provide today.
I appreciate that so much, because when I took a look at it, this is pretty comprehensive. I think this is great. And to think that this is just the beginning, like that's the start for what so much more that you can offer. Audience, you need to go and grab it. It's going to be housed inside the Impactful Parent app, which is free. The app is free. So go to your phone's app store, download the Impactful Parent, and next to this episode. So as you find this episode, right down below here, you'll see your freebie there. And so go ahead and print it out. Contact Mark. He's an amazing resource for us. And one last time, Mark, what's the age group of kids that you really specialize in?
Sure. Yeah. It's 12 to 18. So that preteen going into middle school all the way through high school, kind of the transition stages from middle school to high school to college.
I'm glad you decided to be here today. Begin your Impactful Parent journey by downloading the Impactful Parent app. The Impactful Parent app is free so that you can carry help, tips, and parenting resources right in your pocket. Discover answers to your parenting questions and download the app today, because you have nothing to lose since it's free. Go to your phone's app store, discover how you can step up your parenting game and become a more impactful parent. And also remember that this episode is just a small part of what the Impactful Parent offers. Also available are online courses, parent support groups, coaching services, and of course the app. So find out more by going to theimpactfulparent.com. But until next time, you got this, parents. I'm just here to help. Thank you for listening today. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. And don't forget, the Impactful Parenting Podcast is an extension of the Impactful Parent community. Go to the Impactful Parent website and download the free Impactful Parent app so you don't miss a parenting tip that can help you and your family. Thanks for listening today. So go to theimpactfulparent.com and see you next episode.